what's the amount of interest?
So the way you guys calculate that, because it's annualized interest, you take 160,000, you times that by 0.12, that's 12%. That's going to give you a number. That's based on 1 year. So then divide it by 2, because that's 6 months.
Because 6 months to the year, right?
9,600 would be the total interest that you're going to have to pay the hard money lender for those 6 months. So the hard money lender is making $3,200 up front and $9,600 over that 6-month period of time. So just for the hard money lender lending you money, they get a pretty decent chunk of the change, which is fine because remember, you can use hard money lenders and you can do multiple deals.
Welcome to Real Estate to Freedom, the podcast that helps you create the active life you've always wanted through passive income investments. Now, here are your hosts, Dr. Nate and Becky Lambert.
Let me start off by pointing out why it's so important to have to use other people's money in real estate and how it can make all the difference. So let's say you have two people. One is named Chad. And let's say Chad has $200,000 in his savings account, and he wants to use that money to flip houses. But he's kind of obsessed with no debt, not paying money lenders. He wants to save that money, right? So he takes all those savings, invests it all into one deal, and let's say it takes him 6 months to complete. So Chad makes $30,000 on the flip after 6 months. Now, the challenge with that method is Chad cannot start looking for more deals because all his money is in that deal. So maybe he's looking a little bit, but he can't pull the trigger on anything. So he can't look very seriously. So you need to act fast a lot of times to get the deals that you want to get. And so Chad, the full process again of a flip is often 8 to 10 months. So without leveraging other people's money, Chad loses potential other deals, and he makes the 30,000. Now let's say another person, let's call their name Edmund hypothetically, okay? Edmund, he's got the same amount, the 200,000 sitting in his savings account. But the last thing Edmund wants to do is use his own money. So, he realizes, hey, there's plenty of money in real estate. I'm going to use private and hard money lenders to do this.
Just real quick, a hard money lender, guys, is so when a house is in distress and it's really uninhabitable, a lot of the times, most of the banks, probably 99% of them, won't lend you money on it because they won't finance it because of the distress that it's in. So you have to use what we call a hard money lender, and a hard money lender lends this money on these type of properties. They specialize in lending money. Now the interest rates are higher. There's points up front, which are interest points up front. It's really not that big of a deal because the way that we analyze the deals, the points and the interest don't matter as much. All right. So that's what a hard money lender is. A private money lender would be someone like me, you, anybody that has money that's willing to lend it. So here goes Nate's whiteboard. He's infamous for his whiteboard drawings.
Yeah, I know my handwriting's already bad, but when I'm using a mouse, it's even worse. So this is Chad. Just to summarize, Chad gets one deal done and makes 30,000, whereas Edmund, let's say, uses that same 200,000, but instead of using it all on one deal, let's say he uses a little bit on each deal, but he mostly uses other people's money. So instead, let's say he's paying his lenders a 10% return. So that means Edmund might be making 10% less profit. So he's doing, let's say, 5 deals. He's not making quite as high of a margin. He's doing 5 deals, and instead of 30,000, he's making 27,000 on each one because he's giving that 10% to his money lenders. So let's see, who wants to do the math? What's 5 times 27?
Real quick.
How much more
So it's
is Edmund gonna make?
135,000.
100 and what?
135,000
135
versus 30.
versus 30. So how much more is Edmund making than Chad?
105,000.
105,000 more, right? So by using leverage, yes, you may not make as much, but you can do 5. I mean, I've had as many as 14 flips going at once, and that's, again, most of those weren't using a penny of my own money.
Because
So
you
that's
use what?
why
You use private and hard money lenders to lend you the money on these deals, correct?
that's right. Private and hard money lenders to do everything.
So let's say, Nate, let's say we have a situation where I have a hard money lender that just wants to lend 80% of loan to value of the home, right? So the home's worth 200,000, right? The home's worth 200,000, and they say, I will lend you 80% of that times 0.80. So that's 160,000. So the hard money lender is only willing to lend 160,000, but you need 200,000 to purchase this home. So where do you get the other 40,000 from?
All right, so let's talk about that. Let's say, so here's how this works with rentals as well. We'll talk about rentals, but this is most commonly used for fix and flips. So let's say you've got 2 houses. We'll take Edmund's analogy, right? And I know it, again, pardon my terrible artistry. So this is a house that's beaten up, right? We're gonna show you guys how to find distressed properties with distressed sellers, and it looks almost more like a witch than a house. But let's say Edmund gets this deal under contract, and the contract is for 200,000. Okay, 200,000. The seller agrees to sell it to him. He knows he's not even going to be able to list it. He wants the quick cash that Edmund can give him. So he says, yes, Edmund, I'll sign this contract. Meanwhile, Edmund's run his numbers, right? And ultimately what you want to do, you're going to look at comparable houses that have sold, the fixed up houses that have sold in that same area. And that's how you get what's called comparables, right? So let's say Edmund knows it's going to take $50,000 to fix up this house and turn it from a very unhappy house to a very happy house. So he's going to be in it, again, 200,000 for the purchase price, 50,000 for repairs. So what Edmund really needs is 250,000. There's a couple ways to get this money. Edmund referred to the hard money lenders. So let me go into a little more depth on what a hard money lender is. Hard money lender is like a professional, right? This is someone who doesn't take much risk. They know they're an investor. So you got your hard money lender is a professional investor. A hard money lender knows that if Edmund screws up, he wants to make money no matter what happens, right? So he's willing to loan this money out. He's going to charge Edmund a 12% interest rate, and he's going to charge essentially 2 origination points. So essentially that's, ends up being on this house. Well, actually, let's calculate this. If an origination point is 2% of the entire purchase, how much is Edmund going to pay the hard money lender for the points? How much in points will Edmund pay for this?
Just the purchase price or the purchase price and the rehab money?
No, I'm saying just for the points. This is just for the points.
The points is the points.
It's 2% of. Oh yeah, good.
Purchase.
Let me. Edmund pointed out that they usually will only go at 80%. All right, so 80% is what they'll lend, because if Edmund screws up, they know they're going to get the house. They're going to foreclose on Edmund, and they're going to get the house. So they want to have some extra margin in it. So if Edmund really screws things up, they can finish the repairs and sell it to someone else and make a great profit, right? So hard money lenders are smart. They're going to make money either on the interest and points, or they're going to make the money on taking the house back. So if 2% of, essentially 2% of 160,000 is going to be your points. Okay. And then the hard money lender, again, it's 12%, but this is annualized. Okay. So let's say it takes Edmund 6 months to finish this deal. So that's how you calculate the points. Now the 12% interest is annualized. So let's now take if Edmund can finish this deal in 6 months, like he thinks he will, at 12% interest annualized, who can calculate that? And if you can get it right off the bat, go ahead and put it in the chat. I'll give you a little bit of a clue. You're going to take the 160 multiplied by 0.12, right? That's your interest rate. And in this case, since it's half a year, you're going to divide that amount in half. You know, different hard money lenders have different structures, Vincent, but most of the ones that I've worked with will actually let you defer this payment until the project is complete, because they realize you don't want to have to put a lot of money down, so they'll let you pay it out of your profit. Sometimes they'll want some money up front, like maybe the points up front. All right, so what's anyone else want to venture in? What's the amount of interest?
So the way you guys calculate that, because it's annualized interest, you take 160,000, you times that by 0.12, that's 12%. That's going to give you a number. That's based on 1 year. So then divide it by 2, because that's 6 months.
6 months to the year, right? Yep.
So 9,600 would be the total interest that you're going to have to pay the hard money lender for those 6 months. So the hard money lender is making $3,200 up front and $9,600 over that 6-month period of time. So just for the hard money lender lending you money, they get a pretty decent chunk of the change, which is fine, because remember, you can use hard money lenders and you can do multiple deals. So a hard money lender won't lend you 100% of that 250. Or what you can do is you can borrow that 20% from a friend, family member, member of the group, that sort of thing. So the other 40,000, or the other, 50, 60, 70, 80, the other 90,000, yeah, the other 90,000, you can borrow from someone else and do the same exact thing.
And this person, usually the private, we call them a private money lender. It could come out of your home equity line of credit if you don't want to find someone yourself. It could come from 0% credit cards. I mean, there's a lot of ways it can come from. You can be your own private money lender, but you're right. You got to come up with an additional 90,000 to get to the 250, right? I mean, it's kind of whatever you can get, right? Like a friend or family member may do it at 8% interest or 6%. Some people might want 12%. So whatever you can get, but I often give my people 10% interest, 10%. And so if they're giving, again, $90,000, 10% of 90,000 for the year is 9,000, right?
Yes.
And then you divide that by 2 because you didn't use it for the whole year. You just used it for 6 months. So your private money lender you're gonna pay your private money lender 4.5 thousand. Does that make sense? You guys see where I got that? And that's really important that you understand that, because a lot of people, if you just say 10%, they're gonna think, oh, I'm just gonna get 10% on my money, even if it's within 3 months. That's why you gotta always make sure you state, hey, this is like an annual, and I'd even run through the numbers. I'm thinking it's probably gonna be 6 months. So I'll get your money back with 6 months of per diem interest. Per diem means per day, right? So every day I use, I'm gonna give you that amount of prorated interest. If you do six months, your total cost is the 12,800 plus 4,500 for your private money lender. So your money cost is 17,300.
That's what it costs you to borrow the money. So a lot of people will say, well, man, why don't I just use my own money? Right? So I can save $17,500. Remember, we showed you guys what happens when you leverage other people's money. You can do multiple deals at once, as opposed to just using your own money and being able to do one deal. So you could potentially lose out on 105,000 on that last scenario. Who cares if the hard money lender is making 17,500 on each home, right? I will happily give him 17,500 if he's going to fund, the hard money lender and the private money are going to fund 5 deals for me to get done. Nate, let me share one of my examples. Let me
Oh,
see if
real quick, Eamon, let me just
Okay.
finish this example. So, because let me show how it all adds up. Okay, so we talked about if you sell the house for 350, so that's the sales price, right? And then the repair cost we talked about is 50, and then your money costs in this case was 17.3. Let's just call it 17 for easier math. Okay, 17, and then obviously you have to pay all the money back that you borrowed, right? So the 250. So obviously there's a few other costs involved, like closing costs and stuff, but just for simple math, you're gonna make ultimately 350 minus, oh, actually we already put in the 50,000 in repairs, my bad, hold on. So this is the 200 for the purchase price, the original purchase price. So 250 plus 17, 267 is your total cost, with a few other things, obviously. So you got the 350 minus 267. Your approximate profit, let's say you have to pay 3,000 for title fees. Your profit on this is $80,000, and you didn't have to pay a dime of your own money. It's really quite a thing to do this. That's why, like I say, why use your own money? Maybe you could have made $97,000, but if you can be looking for the next deal and the next one and the next one, and have 5 going at once, why wouldn't you want to do that, right? Let me just tell you again, the key here, guys, is it limits how many deals you can do if you don't use other people's money, and it turns your brain off of finding mode, right? You always want to be in finding mode, because when the right deal comes, you want to just jump on it. So if you're using other people's money, it can potentially be an unlimited source of money, depending on how good you become at raising capital. And then also, you keep your own money for reserves.
So this is a flip that I did, and I'll run through the math on this. Okay. So the profits on this, the total profit was $22,093 that I split with my contractor, because my contractor is a good friend of mine and he's really good. So I made him a partner in this deal. So the purchase price on this home, $182,000, and the rehab budget was $55,000. Okay. So how much money did I need to borrow? 182,000 plus 55,000. I needed to borrow 237,000. Okay. But look at what I did. Go over here to the green, and how much money did I actually borrow? I borrowed 250,000 at 10% interest, annualized interest. These were the interest payments to these 3 investors. Okay. So I borrowed more money than I needed. Why would I do that? Because you have holding costs that people always forget. You have insurance. But more importantly, I borrowed enough money from my investors to pay my investors their interest payments with their own money. Okay. So I borrowed 250,000. So I had enough money to make my interest payments, pay my electric bill, pay my water bill, and also pay a couple months of interest payments. So I used 0 money out of my pocket to purchase the home, to do the rehab, and to turn around and make the holding cost payments. And at the end of the day, when we sold the home, we profited $22,093. This wasn't a home run. This was what I would call a single. right? Because I split it with my buddy. But think about the amount of time that it took me to do this. If you build your team the way that we talked about, they are going to do the vast majority of the work. I spent 10 hours. That is all I spent, is 10 hours on this project, finding the deal, raising the capital, and overseeing it. So $11,000 for 10 hours really isn't that bad worth of work. Okay. And you can do multiple deals like this. I had 3 of these projects going on at once. So just remember, there are 4 costs. There are the buying costs, and there's the holding costs, which a lot of people forget to calculate the holding costs. Okay. There's the rehab costs, and then there's your selling costs. Your selling cost, you don't need to include. You need to know what they are, but you don't need to include them in the money that you borrow, because the selling cost is going to go to the agent when they sell the house. All right. So you need to know this amount, which is usually 6% of the sales price, right? You need to know this amount, but you don't need to calculate it in the amount of money that you borrow. So that is actually what we call transfer taxes. So in Delaware, we just have to pay transfer taxes. This does not include the taxes on the profit, okay? But here's what we do. There's a strategy called buy 2, hold 1. So every 2 properties that I make a profit on, I turn around and buy a rental property so I can offset the taxes, and I'm not taxed on the profits on the 2 flips. The best way to describe it is let your tax accountant handle it. Your tax accountant will know it. If you have the right tax accountant, they will know exactly what you're doing. You're flipping homes, you're generating profits, and then you get a home as a rental, and then you can use the depreciation from the rental to offset the profits that you made on those 2 flips. Otherwise, yes, if you don't have a rental afterwards, you will get taxed on the profits that you made. But there's a way to keep that, and it's usually by getting a rental property. So for every 2 properties that you flip or you wholesale, you usually want to buy a rental property to offset the taxes. That's kind of a strategy that you use to keep the money in your pocket and the assets in your pocket.
I love it. I love it. So again, so just to reiterate, the 2 main forms of doing deals without your own money are a hard money lender. Again, that's a professional investor that gives you usually about 75 to 80% of the purchase price. Professional investor with 12% and 2 points of interest. Private money is more of like someone you know, someone that knows, likes, and trusts you, that you give them like maybe a 10% return to cover the gap. We call that the gap, right? The money that you need for the other 20% and the money that you need to fix up the property.
Yeah. And the other thing is you got to ask yourself, like, where do I find hard money lenders? Where do I find private money lenders?
So guys, there are hard money lenders are a dime a dozen. They are looking for you, and they are more than happy to give you the money, because they know they're going to make money no matter what. So why not lend you money unless your deal sucks? The other nice thing is, if your deal sucks, they won't give you the money. So maybe you decide, hey, I'm not going to buy that deal. I can't get any hard money lenders to fund this. It must not be good. I'm going to bail on it. You know what I'm saying? So that's another great way to do it.
Yep. So here's a way to find your hard money lenders, right? This is something that every one of you should be doing or have done by now if you haven't. So I know there's some people that don't like social media. Sometimes I hate social media, but it's a double-edged sword because of the communication that you can get with other people. So all you do is go to, like, come up here and go new real estate investing, and then do what city you live in, right? Newcastle, Delaware. All right. So look what happens. All these groups, these people, right? These groups, these are individuals that are involved in real estate investing. All right.
Hey, I mean, you want to click on the button that says groups at the bottom.
Where is it? Oh yeah, sorry about that. Yep. So groups, you got the real estate groups. Look at all these groups, right? 21,000 people in this one, 14,000 in this one. 8.8 thousand in this one. Real estate investors, 77. You want to join as many of these groups as possible in your area. Because once you join these groups, then what are you going to do? You're going to go to the group and you're going to say, hey, Edmund Fontana here. I'm an investor in the area. I'm looking for hard money lenders. How many contacts do you think you're going to get? Hard money lenders. You're going to get hard money lenders left and right sending you their information because, right, you're a potential customer for them. You're going to do the same thing for the contractor, the same thing for the real estate agent. If you don't have people that you know, then you come to these groups that are in your local area and you find them. All right. So utilize.
Just join the group and say, hey, I'm looking for a hard money lender. I'm about to buy a flip. Who are my hard money lenders in the group? Or who do you recommend? And people will be like, pick me, I want to be your hard money lender. Believe me, like if you guys get good at finding the deal, the money's going to come to you because people want to make the interest by lending it to a good deal. So it's not that hard to find. It sounds really tough, but it's not hard at all, right? I mean, I got like people pounding on my door wanting to be my hard money lender.
Absolutely.
And then a lot of you might be wondering, like, well, how do I find the private money? And again, Facebook's one of the best ways that you can do that, right? So what I like to do is maybe the first deal, you're like, I'm just gonna use my home equity line of credit. I just learned how to get this HELOC. I'm gonna go ahead and get a hard money lender, but I'm gonna pay for the rehab out of my home equity line of credit, right? So that's an easy way to do it. So easy. But this time, as you find the deal, you're gonna say, hey, look, I just found a deal. I'm getting into a fix and flip. Look at this, and make a video, do before and after photos, or before photos, right? And then you're gonna walk them through the journey. You're gonna share your journey, your real estate investing journey with everyone on your social media accounts. You're gonna be like, look at this, we just finished the kitchen. Look at how cool this kitchen looks. And people will be like, oh my gosh, Rhonda, she knows what she's doing. She is like a real estate investor. How did you do that? I want to be like Rhonda. I want to make it. And you talk about the profits. Rhonda will when she finishes, she'll be like, hey, look, here's the numbers. Like, I bought it for this. I put this much in the rehab, and I made $80,000. Anyone want to join me and partner up on the next one? And then suddenly you got your Facebook friend saying, hey, I want to do it. Like, I got all this money sitting in my bank account. I would love to join you on the next one.
Yep.
It's funny. I have this friend named Bob from Boston, and we did our second rental property together. I'm like, Bob, you need to make a post about this. So he did. He's like, Nate, I'm not a Facebook guy. And a lot of you are probably thinking that, like, I'm not one to put myself out there. But Bob was like, I'm like, Bob, you just got to do it. Just trust me. So he made one post, and he got one of his friends that's like, Bob, like, I want to get in real estate. I don't have time though, but I have $300,000 in my bank account. Do you think you could use that?
Yeah.
Bob's like, heck yeah, let's go.
And it's so true, guys. Like, I thought finding the money was going to be the hardest part of this. The moment that I got past the fear, the moment I got past the whole, oh, I feel like I'm bragging if I do that, right? You know what I mean? Like, I know the feeling. It's a gut-wrenching feeling sometimes. But the moment I did it, I kid you not, it worked out so well. I had so many of my friends and family members like, you made $30,000 off a flip, like, and it only took you 3 months. Like, how did you do that? I want to learn more about it. And I'm just like, man, like, if you guys got money sitting in your 401ks that you want to use, like, I can utilize that money and you can team up with me and we can do deals together. And they're like, oh, absolutely. I'm getting 4% on my retirement account right now. You're telling me I can get 10? Let me borrow money from my retirement account. And then they feel they're an investor, then they're investing with you. The last thing you want to do is go up to a hard money lender. Let's say Nate's a hard money lender and I'm an investor. The last thing I want to do is like, hey, Nate, like, I've really been thinking about getting involved in real estate investing. I haven't done any deals yet. You know, I'm looking, I'm going to find something. In fact, I think I found something. I still got to run numbers on it, but will you lend me some money? Right? Nate's going to be like, I don't know. You don't even have your numbers together. This is your first deal. You're showing me you're uneducated. You're showing me you're unorganized. Okay. So what you want to do is like, Nate, I found this property. I don't care if it's your first property or not. You do not need to tell them it is your first property. Some of them might ask. They're never going to do a background check on you. You can say, yeah, I've completed some properties. Now, you don't got to lie. I mean, everyone's bought their own primary residence, right? That's a real estate transaction, right? So you say, you know, I've done a transaction or so, and then just be like, look, but more importantly, I ran these numbers, right? It's 300,000. The after repair number, the after repair value is 300,000. That's going to let them know you're educated and you've been doing your homework, because you know what after repair value means. The rehab cost on it's going to be 30,000. You know, I need to borrow as much money as you'll give me, right? And then that's when they'll kind of jump into the numbers and they'll review the numbers with you. So as long as you know your numbers when you go to the table to the hard money lender, they're less likely to start questioning you about what you're doing. So that is why having the right education, the right mentors, the right community to review all of that with you first, to role play it with you, and then you go out and get it, right? I hope that answers the question. But that's a common question that comes up. That I had that question when I was like, man, no one's going to lend me money in the beginning. It is all about mindset and excitement, right? Go there knowing your numbers, go there knowing the vocabulary, and you'll be fine.
That's right. And, you know, a great way to get experience is to find an experienced investor that you trust and be a private money lender. Start off by in that role. That's what I did. I gave some money to a friend who had a lot more experience, and then I shadowed him, I partnered with him, and then I got a lot of that experience. Then I had so much more confidence to go do it on my own the next time.
Yeah, I mean, like, for example, Nate's done commercial deals. Don't you think there was a time where Nate never has completed a commercial deal? Right? So what does he do? He finds someone with experience, he lends them some money, and he lent them money because the other person had more experience. But guess what? Nate's learning from that individual. That's what I'm kind of doing now with Nate, because I haven't really done commercial like that. I've done Airbnb, VRBO, that sort of thing, but I haven't done like an actual commercial deal. So if, you know, Nate's got a project going on in North Carolina where I'm helping him raise capital for, but also, what do you think I'm doing? I'm picking Nate's brain every chance I get to be able to figure out, like, how do I do commercial properties? If I want to go off on my own and do a commercial property, how do I do it? So leverage your mentors like that, right? Leverage people in the groups, leverage anyone that's got more knowledge than you, right?
Yeah,
and
and the cool thing,
most of the time people are happy to help.
They really are. And the cool thing about being like a private money lender on someone's deals, then you can start posting about it because you're part of the deal, right?
Yes.
I mean, they don't need to know how big your role is. Just say, hey, my partners and I just closed on this property. Look how cool it is. And you can get a lot of that. You can get a lot of that credibility that you need by just leveraging the deal that you partnered on.
It's the who, it's not the how. That is 100% right. I think we've covered that in Great Year in Economy. It is the who. It's not how. It's find the people. This is key, guys. Find the people that are doing what you want to do and build a relationship with them, right? And that goes for anything in life. You want to learn how to lose weight, right? Nate, did you have a mentor to teach you how to lose weight and everything that you're doing?
7-time world champion.
Right. So is it Ron? Is he the one?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ron's a good guy. Right. So there are people that know how to do this, and you can hire them as coaches. You can become friends with them, build relationships with them. Sometimes you got to pay to play, guys. And like, that's what you guys have already done. And it's just worth it, right? Because what it does is it lets people know you're serious about what you're doing. You're investing in yourself. You're not one of those people that are like, oh, I'm not paying that much money. That's not worth it. That's too expensive, right? Those people just really don't invest in themselves. You guys have already taken that step and you're here, right? So now the knowledge and everything that you're gaining, right? Now the knowledge and everything that you're gaining is well worth it. He said it'll be worth it after I cash my first 20K check. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's, you know what? I use that when I first signed up, right? Like I paid, you know, a large amount of money to get involved in my real estate education and mentorship with Nate. Nate was my mentor. And I use that as leverage to say, now I don't have a way out, right? I have debt now that I have to get rid of. I have to get this done. I don't have an option now. A lot of the times, here's what I'll tell you. A lot of my friends and family want me to teach this to them for free. And I'm like, you know what? I'll do it. I won't do it anymore. You know why? Because every time I try to teach someone this for free to try to help them, they never get anything done because they have no skin in the game and there's no accountability whatsoever. Nate had to teach me that. I had to learn that the hard way. He was like, bro, why are you not charging your friends? I'm like, I can't charge my friends for this. And every single time, none of them got anything done. And I gave them same kind of content that I'm giving you, and none of them did anything with it because they had no why in the background, you know, burning a hole in their pocket, telling them, you got to get this done.
Yeah, you guys already show that you've invested in yourselves. That's why you're here tonight. So it's always worth it to invest in yourself.
Absolutely.
So the
Yeah,
other place, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you know, the real estate education was outside of RYM to where the Nate wasn't in the inner circle. And I had some random person coming up to me trying to teach me real estate. I probably never would have did it. But because it was within the RYM community, it's just, there's a trust level there, right? Because there's a certain quality of client that we attract, and it just works out very well.
Exactly. So in addition to, now Facebook isn't the only place you can raise money. Let me talk about another golden area. If you're just like, I just can't get myself to post about anything on social media, that's okay. There's still hope. You can still raise capital. One of the other greatest places is networking events. So there's like Edmund talked about, the Facebook groups that show you what areas, what groups are in your area. They usually have meetups, in-person meetups. You can build relationships by posting stuff in the group, and you can meet people at these real estate meetups and tell them, hey, look, I got this deal. And do you know anyone who might be interested in making a great interest rate and being part of a deal? And a lot of people will be like, oh, well, man, I have money, but I haven't been able to find a deal yet. Can I see the numbers? You're like, yeah, here's the numbers. Show them the numbers. They're like, oh, dang, okay, let's do this. Let's go, right? So networking with other people who are interested in real estate at meetup events, real estate meetup events in your area, or in online events like this, or like our advanced group that meets on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Those are all great ways to find private money lenders, because some people have a deal and need money. Other people have money and want a deal to put it to work on. So that's why you gotta spend some time connecting with other people, getting out of your comfort zone a little bit, and showing people your deal and making things happen.
Yep. And if you're, like I think about this, and then I think about my wife, because my wife wants to get involved in real estate, but she's more of an introvert, right? So she doesn't like going to the meetup events and putting herself out there. If you are an introvert and that's something that like gives you anxiety, then I would recommend definitely using the social media route to where you're doing online communication with people, so you feel you don't have as much anxiety going out and talking to people.
Thanks for listening to Real Estate to Freedom with Dr. Nate and Becky Lambert. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. You can download their free ebooks and workshops by visiting realestatetoFreedom.com.